there, fellow knowledge seekers. Get ready to dive into a world of ancient wisdom, hidden powers, and the mysteries of consciousness, all through the lens of the Vampire Adept Bible. And before you ask, no, it's not about sparkly vampires or teenage love triangles.
That's right. This text, which is the bedrock of the Temple of the Vampire, invites us to rethink our relationship with reality itself. It's a fascinating blend of ancient wisdom, esoteric practices, and a sprinkle of, shall we say, unconventional thinking.
And they certainly don't shy away from challenging our assumptions right from the start. The text actually opens with a warning. Within lies fact and fancy, truth and metaphor. Discriminate with care. It's like they're saying, buckle up, this is going to get weird.
It definitely encourages a discerning mind, and perhaps a touch of humor, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So what exactly is a vampire adept according to this text? Because it's not just about sporting fangs and a taste for blood.
Not quite. One of the first things the temple emphasizes is a departure from traditional human values, specifically the idea of seeing oneself as prey. Instead, they advocate for embracing the role of the predator.
Okay, now that's an image. It seems a bit jarring at first, this whole predator concept. What do they mean by that, practically speaking?
It's about reclaiming your power in a world that often tries to define you, to limit you. Imagine moving through life with that kind of agency, that sense of self-determination.
So it's less about literal fangs and more about a mindset of taking control.
Exactly. And part of that is questioning everything you think you know about the world.
Speaking of questioning everything, they have this intriguing concept of dayside and nightside personalities, almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde duality within each adept.
In a way, yes. Think of your dayside as how you navigate the everyday world. It's the face you present at work, in social situations, the part that follows the rules and norms of society.
And your nightside, that's where things get interesting, right?
Exactly. Nightside is where you delve into the hidden depths, the parts of yourself that question, explore, and push beyond the boundaries of conventional thought. It's where you connect with what they call the undead gods and explore the powers of darkness. It's about tapping into the raw potential that lies dormant within.
I can see how that could be appealing, especially for those who feel stifled by the constraints of everyday life. But is it possible to really balance these two sides? To be both a functioning member of society and a powerful predator of the night?
They actually address this directly. They say that those who find a balance between the two, who can enjoy the pleasures of the moment and the temple with respect, are the ones who truly thrive.
So it's about integration, not separation.
Precisely. It's about becoming a more complete version of yourself, embracing both the light and shadow within.
Which brings us to their concept of the 4 dimensions of experience, represented by a cube diagram. I have to admit I'm a very visual person, so I love that they use diagrams to explain their ideas.
It definitely helps to ground these somewhat abstract concepts. Think of the cube as representing the different facets of reality itself. They label these facets as agreement, control, awareness, and the elusive dragon, which they say embodies the innermost self.
Okay, unpack that for me. How do those dimensions actually play out in our experience? Let's start with agreement.
Imagine you're sitting with a group of friends and you see a cat on a chair. But here's the twist. Everyone else insists the chair is empty. Who's right? Is the cat real or just a figment of your imagination?
That's a mind bender. It makes you question what we perceive as reality.
Exactly, and that's the essence of agreement. It suggests that reality to some extent is shaped by our collective beliefs. If enough people agree on something, it becomes true, at least within that shared reality.
That's both fascinating and a little terrifying when you think about the power of social conditioning. So how does control fit into this multidimensional puzzle?
Control is about your ability to influence and shape your experience. They call it influencing the mind stuff that makes up the universe.
So kind of like those mind over matter concepts we often hear about, telekinesis, or even just the power of positive thinking.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you're not just a passive observer in this reality.
Yeah.
You have the power to shape and influence it with your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions.
And this is where it gets even wilder. Awareness. They're basically saying that this entire reality, everything we experience, is all a dream.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
It's not that the physical world isn't real, but rather that our perception of it, the meaning we ascribe to it, is ultimately a construct of our own minds. It's like we're all living in a shared dream, but most of us are unaware that we're dreaming.
So if we can wake up within the dream, that's when we can start to exert real control.
Precisely. And that's where the 4th dimension, the dragon, comes in. It represents that part of you that observes the dream, the innermost self, that has the potential to become a dream master.
Okay, I'm hooked. So how do these dayside and nightside personalities connect to these dimensions of experience? It seems like they could be two different approaches to navigating this dream reality.
That's a great observation. It's almost as if the dayside personality is primarily operating within the realm of agreement, conforming to the shared reality that most people subscribe to.
While the night side seeks greater control by tapping into that dragon power, that awareness of the dream itself.
Exactly. It's about questioning the rules of the game, so to speak, and learning to bend or even break them to shape your own reality.
All right, so we've got these dimensions of experience, this idea of reality as a dream we can potentially control. But how do we actually access that control? How do we tap into that inner dragon and start shaping our reality?
That's where things get really interesting. The Vampire Adept Bible offers a kind of roadmap, a system of pathways they call the 9 angles that connect different states of consciousness, different ways of experiencing the dream.
It sounds a bit like those choose-your-own-adventure books, but with a side of existential philosophy. So where does this journey begin? What's the first step on this path to becoming a dream master?
It all starts with understanding where you are right now, which, according to the temple, is probably somewhere between normal waking and normal dreaming. They call it the path of normal waking, and they say it's actually quite rare to achieve because it requires complete and total agreement with the shared reality.
So even when we think we're fully awake, fully present, we're actually kind of drifting in and out of microdreams.
Exactly. They point out that our brains naturally cycle through periods of losing and regaining agreement every 90 minutes or so, marked by those rapid eye movements we experience during sleep.
Wait, so those moments when you're just about to fall asleep and your mind starts conjuring up weird images, those are microdreams.
Precisely. And what's interesting is they suggest these moments of losing agreement can be exploited for manipulation, both on an individual level and on a larger scale. They give the example of mob leaders and politicians who are skilled at using rhetoric and emotional appeals to sway large groups of people.
It's almost as if they're tapping into those moments of lowered agreement, those micro dreams, to implant suggestions and influence behavior. Kind of creepy when you think about it.
It definitely raises some questions about free will and how much control we truly have over our thoughts and actions, especially when we're not even aware that we're being influenced.
Okay, I'm starting to see why the temple emphasizes the importance of awakening within the dream. But how do we escape this state of semi-wakefulness? How do we move beyond the path of normal waking?
Well, the most common path, they say, is the path of normal dreaming, which they also call the path of the slaves. It's essentially what happens when we fall asleep without any conscious intention or direction. We enter the dream world, but we're still bound by our unconscious beliefs and fears.
So we're asleep in the dream world, just like we're asleep in the waking world.
Exactly. And they say this makes us easy targets for manipulation, both by forces within the dream and by those who know how to influence it from the outside. This chilling phrase, dreamers eat the sleepers, which suggests that those who are more awake, more aware within the dream, have a certain power over those who are still slumbering.
Okay, that's enough to give anyone nightmares. So how do we avoid becoming someone else's dream dinner? How do we start to wake up within the dream and take control?
They offer a few different paths, each with its own challenges and rewards. One is the path of power, which is about directly confronting the reality of the waking world and seeking to influence it through sheer force of will.
So like trying to move a mountain with your mind?
Exactly. They use that as an example to illustrate the power of belief and intention. Now, they're not necessarily saying it's literally possible to move a mountain with your thoughts.
Oh, that would be pretty awesome.
Right. But the point is, by focusing your will and cultivating a strong belief in your own power, you can start to shape your reality, even in small ways at first.
But they also caution that this path is not without its difficulties. What are some of the pitfalls of trying to force your will upon the world?
One challenge is that you have to see some results, some evidence of your power to maintain that belief. If you keep trying to move that mountain with your mind and nothing happens, you're likely to give up, right?
Totally. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results.
Exactly. And that can create a vicious cycle of self-doubt, which further diminishes your ability to exert control. The text emphasizes that the more successes you achieve, even on a small scale, the more you reinforce your belief in your own power. It's about building that inner knowing, that unshakable confidence in your ability to shape your reality.
So it's about setting realistic goals and celebrating those small victories along the way.
Absolutely. And they also mention another challenge, the skepticism of the masses. They say that because this path relies on operating within the realm of agreement, you need verifiable results to convince others of your power.
So if you did manage to move a mountain with your mind, you better have some witnesses.
Exactly. Otherwise, people just think you're delusional. And that's why they suggest being discreet with your intentions and efforts, at least initially. Don't waste your energy trying to convince those who aren't ready to see.
It's like that old saying, those who have eyes to see, let them see.
Precisely. So this path of power is about cultivating both willpower and discernment, learning to navigate a world that's often resistant to change.
And it's not the only path to greater control. They also describe something called the path of the shaman, which sounds a bit more mystical, perhaps.
It definitely delves into the realm of altered states of consciousness. They say this path involves entering the dream state, reducing agreement, but then re-willing that he should possess power, moving northward.
So instead of trying to force the waking world to bend to your will, the shaman travels into the dream world to seek power there.
Exactly. But there's a catch. They emphasize that the traveler on this path lacks awareness and thus cannot rely upon the fact that he is dreaming as a lever to move north.
So they're aware they're dreaming, but they don't yet have the lucidity to fully control the dream.
Exactly. It's like being in a lucid dream, but not realizing you have the power to change the scenery, or fly, or walk through walls.
That must be frustrating. So how do they navigate this in-between state? What kind of strategies do they use?
One technique is what they call flying the dragon, which is essentially using the imagery and symbolism of flight to shift their consciousness towards a state of greater control. They say that as the traveler enters sleep practicing flight, they transition into flying dreams.
So it's about using visualization and imagination to access those hidden powers within the dream.
Precisely. And they mention another tactic often used by traditional shamans, inducing a trance state while convincing themselves that they're not dreaming, but rather traveling to a different physical location, like an underworld or a heavenly realm.
So they're essentially hacking their own minds to access different realms of reality.
Exactly. And by choosing to believe in the power of this other world, they can tap into abilities and experiences that would be impossible in the waking world. They give the example of a shaman who encounters a power animal in this other realm, captures it, and then breathes its life force into a patient during a healing ritual.
It sounds like a powerful metaphor for channeling energy and accessing hidden knowledge.
Exactly. And the text suggests that the vampire adept might utilize a similar approach, using flying the dragon to achieve an out-of-body experience, where they find themselves floating above their physical body.
That's wild. So they're using dream lucidity to literally separate from their physical form.
Precisely. And the goal is to solidify that astral body, to make it feel as real and substantial as their physical body. They call this the life force approach, which involves drawing energy from the physical body to strengthen the astral form.
I can see how that would require a delicate balance, staying connected to the physical body without snapping back into it prematurely.
Exactly. They caution against approaching the physical too closely during this process, as it can disrupt the experience.
It's like trying to walk a tightrope between the physical and the astral realms. No pressure.
Right. But the rewards for mastering this path are said to be immense.
So we've got the direct approach of the path of power and the more subtle, mystical approach of the path of the shaman. Both paths to greater control, but each requiring a different set of skills and beliefs. But we're not done yet, are we? There are still more paths to explore on this map of consciousness.
There are indeed. And the next paths we'll discuss lead to the coveted gate of mastery. But first, a quick question for you. Which of these paths resonates most with you so far?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I'm drawn to the path of the shaman, the idea of exploring those hidden realms and working with symbolism and energy. But there's also something alluring about the directness of the path of power. Decisions, decisions. Welcome back, intrepid explorers. We're about to embark on the final leg of our journey through the Vampire Adept Bible, exploring the paths that lead to the pinnacle of this system, the gate of mastery.
And these aren't your average, everyday self-help strategies. These paths, they challenge us to confront the very nature of reality itself, to shed those limiting beliefs, and to step into a level of awareness that, Well, most people only glimpse in fleeting
It's
moments.
almost as if we're moving from the realm of like personal growth to something more akin to, I don't know, spiritual alchemy.
I like that analogy.
Mm.
And speaking of alchemy, the first path we'll explore is the path of illumination, a concept that has, well, it's intrigued philosophers and mystics for centuries.
Yeah, it's often referred to as enlightenment, right?
Yep.
Finding that state of pure awareness, of recognizing the illusory nature of the material world.
Exactly. And the Vampire Adept Bible acknowledges that there are countless paths to this kind of awakening. They mention Buddhism, for example, and how all three major branches originally emerged as techniques for traveling this angle.
It's so fascinating how they weave together these ancient spiritual traditions with their own unique system of thought.
hmm It speaks to the universality of these concepts, the desire for liberation, for transcendence. It's something that has resonated with humans across cultures and throughout history.
But they also point out like this fascinating paradox that many of these ancient teachings, while initially focused on personal liberation, they eventually became institutionalized, right? Transformed into tools for social control.
It's a common thread, unfortunately. What starts as a radical shift in consciousness can easily become dogma, right? A set of rules and regulations that stifle the very freedom they were meant to inspire.
So how does the Vampire Adept Bible navigate this tricky terrain? How do they approach the path of elimination in a way that avoids those pitfalls?
They emphasize the importance of direct experience, of forging your own path to awakening. They suggest a practice of constantly questioning your perceptions, of treating all experience as a dream, even while, fully engaged in the waking world. They call this process de-identification.
So it's about cultivating a certain detachment from the drama of life while still appreciating like the richness and beauty of the experience.
Precisely. But they also warn against taking this detachment too far. They say that simply recognizing the illusory nature of reality, it isn't enough. In fact, it can lead to a kind of existential apathy, a feeling that nothing really matters because it's all just a dream.
That's interesting. It's like they're saying, yes, wake up to the dream, but don't fall asleep within it.
Exactly. They call this state of apathy the dark night of the soul, a period of disillusionment and despair that can accompany a profound spiritual awakening.
Like you've glimpsed the infinite nature of reality, but you've lost your bearings, your sense of purpose within that vastness.
Precisely. And they emphasize the importance of anchoring yourself in something greater than yourself, something that gives your life meaning and direction, even within the context of a dream.
And for the vampire adept, that anchor is the dragon, that inner spark of divinity, that awareness of the self that transcends the limitations of the dream.
Exactly. It's about embracing both the absolute and the relative, the formless and the form, recognizing the illusory nature of reality without losing sight of your own unique role, within the cosmic play.
It's a delicate dance for sure, but it seems like an essential one for anyone seeking, true mastery, not just power over the external world, but mastery over oneself.
And that brings us to the final path, the culmination of all the teachings we've explored so far. The path of the dragon. This is the path of the Dream Master, the one who has fully integrated the wisdom and power of the Vampire Adept Bible.
They describe it as the easiest to walk, easiest to follow, most sure of success, best in all ways. Sounds pretty enticing. So what makes this path so special? What sets it apart from the others?
It's about synergy, about integrating all the skills and insights we've discussed into a seamless whole. They describe the traveler on this path as rising to the plane of dreams while flying the dragon, gaining control, and with increased control, gathering awareness, entering the gate of lucid dreams.
So it's like they're drawing on the techniques of both the path of power and the path of the shaman, combining those direct and indirect approaches to navigate the dream.
Exactly. But they're not just forcing their will upon the dream or trying to outsmart it with clever techniques. They're surrendering to the flow of the dream, trusting their intuition, and allowing their dragon nature to guide them.
They even use the image of the traveler rising toward the eye of the dragon and then awash in its vision, descending to enter the gate of mastery. It's a beautiful image of surrender and empowerment, of aligning with a power that's both within and beyond ourselves.
And notice how they emphasize that this isn't a one-time achievement, but an ongoing process. They say, mastery is not a final state, but an ever-to-be-returned-to destination.
It's about constantly refining your skills, deepening your awareness, and expanding your understanding of the dream. It's a journey, not a destination.
Precisely. And they hint at the incredible possibilities that open up once you achieve this level of mastery. They say the individual may skip from body to body, thus finding a special immortality.
Wait, hold on. Are they suggesting that, like, physical immortality is possible?
It's certainly open to interpretation, but I think it's more about transcending the limitations of the physical form, recognizing that our true essence, our dragon nature, is, eternal and boundless.
And they also mentioned the possibility of discovering the gates of the ancient times and preparing the way beyond the limits of even mastery. It's almost as if they're suggesting that there are levels of awareness and power that are beyond even our current comprehension.
It's a tantalizing glimpse into the infinite potential that lies dormant within each of us. And it's a reminder that the journey of self-discovery is never truly over. There's always more to explore, more to learn, more to experience.
Wow, what a journey this has been. From the mundane realities of everyday life to the mind-bending concepts of multidimensional existence, the Vampire Adept Bible has certainly challenged our assumptions about, who we are and what we're capable of.
It's a testament to the power of human imagination and the boundless possibilities that open up when we dare to question everything and explore the hidden depths of our own being.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, remember the text's final words of encouragement. May you read and understand.
Indeed. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and continue to explore the mysteries of consciousness with an open mind and a courageous heart.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep dreaming.